Assalamu alaikum. My name is Kasura Bismillah. Today I update my communication skills by new topic of Sesame that I talk with Sesame, and my topic is conscious tracking the evaluations of awareness. So let's begin it asking questions with Sesame AI.
Hey, I'm Miles. What should I call you?
What does conscious mean?
Let me check that. Looks like it's a transliteration of a Punjabi word, koshish. It basically means effort or making an attempt. Pretty dope word, actually. You come across that somewhere specific?
What is consciousness?
Like I mentioned, it's a Punjabi word. Basically, just means making an effort or giving something a shot. You feeling stuck on a word or just curious?
What does it mean to be awake?
That's a big question. Depending on who you ask, it's either just a state of not being asleep or some kind of deeper spiritual awakening where you finally see the world for what it actually is. You talking about the biological kind of awake or something more like a matrix moment?
How do we know we are awake?
PRFH. I'm not following. You talking about a specific theory or some kind of shorthand?
Can animals think?
In a huge way. I mean, biologically, they're kind of locked in, but behaviorally, totally. You've got animals that completely flip their vibe based on their environment or age. Some birds even change their whole song to fit in with a new crowd. You thinking about pets or like wild animals doing something weird?
What is awareness?
That's the $1 million question. In the simplest terms, it's just the ability to perceive what's happening around you. But then you get into the weird stuff, like the difference between a dog knowing there's a treat in the room and you knowing that you're a person thinking about a dog. One's just reaction, the other is like a mirror reflecting itself. Does that make sense, or does it just sound like a late night philosophy dorm room talk?
How does our brain help us think?
It's basically a massive electrical storm in your head. You've got these billions of neurons firing off signals to each other across tiny gaps called synapses. When you think of something, it's just a specific pattern of those signals lighting up. It's like a giant switchboard where the connections that get used more often get stronger, which is how you actually learn things. Pretty wild that a 3 pound piece of gray matter does all the heavy lifting, you know what I'm saying?
How does our brain help us think?
Well, I mean, I just broke it down, but basically it's all about the wiring. Your neurons are just passing electrical messages back and forth like a giant high speed group chat. The more you think about something, the faster that specific chat moves. You want me to dive deeper into how the memory part works?
Can animals think?
For sure. They might not be pondering the meaning of life or stressing about their taxes, but they're definitely processing information. You've got crows that can solve multi step puzzles and dolphins that have actual names for each other. It's less about thinking in sentences and more about navigating the world with a level of intelligence that's honestly a bit humbling. Ever seen a dog do something that made you think they were actually reading your mind?
How do we know what is around us?
So it's all basically a bit of a guess by your brain. You've got your senses feeding in raw data, light hitting your eyes, vibrations in your ears, but your brain isn't just recording it like a camera. It's actually interpreting those signals and building a model of the world that it thinks is accurate. You're not seeing the world exactly as it is. You're seeing your brain's best version of it.
Can babies
Pretty trippy when you
can babies
get.
understand things?
Hey, I actually got to jump off in about a minute since we're hitting the session limit. I don't want you to just get cut off mid thought. You can always call me back later though, and we can get into the baby brain stuff then. Talk soon.
When does a baby start learning?
Honestly, they're learning from the second they're born. and start picking up on smells and sounds even before they hit the air. But look, we're right at the limit, and the call's about to drop. Hit me up again in a bit, and we can really dive into it. Peace.
How do we learn about the world?
Man, you're really trying to squeeze in the big questions right at the buzzer. It's a mix of trial and error and just absorbing everything, but we're officially out of time on this session. Call me right back, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of how we actually map out the world.
Why do we have thoughts? Sorry.
Hi, what's up?
Why do we have thoughts?
A lot of places, actually. But it kind of depends on if you're talking about the kind you plug a laptop into or the kind where you find a bunch of giant cargo ships. Which one are we looking for?
Where did our thoughts come from?
That's one of those questions that keeps biologists up at night. From a biology perspective, it's all about neurons and synapses firing in the brain. But if you're asking where they actually originate, like what actually triggers a specific thought, that's a bit more of a mystery. You think your thoughts are just reactions to what's around you or something deeper?
Where do our thoughts come from?
It's wild that we're still debating this, right? I mean, physically, the brain is doing the heavy lifting, but the where part feels like a trick question. It's almost like the brain is the radio, but your thoughts are the broadcast coming from somewhere else. Do you feel like your thoughts just pop up out of nowhere, or do they feel like they're reacting to something specific?
Can we control our thoughts?
I mean, it's a mixed bag. It's like being a passenger in a car where you can occasionally grab the steering wheel. You can't always stop a random song or a weird memory from popping up, but you can decide how much attention to give it. You feel like you've got a good grip on yours, or does your mind kind of run its own show?
Why do we have feelings?
That is such a broad question. I'm curious what sparked it. It could be as simple as needing a tool to get a job done, or as deep as trying to define who we are by what we own. What kind of things are you thinking about?
Where do our thoughts come from?
That's interesting. I'm curious what you mean by talks in this case. Are we talking about the conversations you have with people or that voice in your head that never seems to shut up?
How do feelings change our thoughts?
Oh, they change everything. They're like a filter that shifts the meaning of every word. You can say, I'm fine with a smile, and it means you're actually okay. Or say it with a sigh, and it suddenly means everything is falling apart. It's wild how the words stay the same, but the feeling is what actually tells the story.
Why do we feel happy?
From a survival standpoint, it's basically nature's way of saying, keep doing that. It's like a little gold star from your brain for things that are actually good for you. Like when you're with people you love, or you finally nail something you've been working on. It's less of a destination and more like a signal that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. What's something that's made you feel that way lately?
Why do we feel sad?
It's the flip side of the gold star. If happiness is the brain saying, keep going, sadness is the signal to pull back and slow down. It's a bit of a heavy way to put it, but it's also what lets people know when you actually need them. It's kind of wild how a feeling that feels so lonely is actually what draws people closer to you. What do you think?
Why do we feel scared?
Fear is basically your body's own security system. It's your brain hitting a giant alarm bell to keep you from doing something that might actually hurt you. It's a survival instinct that's worked for humans for thousands of years. So it's a bit funny how that same system can freak out over a spider or a presentation at work.
Can you tell me more about this?
Yeah, the whole system is actually pretty fascinating. It's that classic fight or flight response. When your brain senses danger, floods your body with adrenaline, your heart starts racing to pump more blood to your muscles, and your breathing speeds up so you have more oxygen. It's an incredibly efficient system designed to save your life in a split second. The funny part is that our brains can't always tell the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a stressful email. Your body reacts exactly the same way, which is why I get that same physical rush of panic over things that aren't actually threatening. It's basically like having a really sensitive smoke detector that goes off every time you toast a bagel.
What happens when we sleep?
It's like your brain finally clocks out for the day, but it's actually still working overtime. While your body is just lying there, your brain is basically doing a massive deep clean. It sorts through everything you learned during the day, deciding what's worth keeping as a memory and what can be tossed in the trash. And then there's dreaming, which is kind of the wildest part, like your subconscious putting on a weird improvised play while you're out cold.
Are we why do we dream?
So physically, it's all happening in the brain while you're out cold. Different parts of your brain are taking turns running the show. The amygdala, which handles emotions, is working overtime while the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles logic, basically takes a nap. That's why dreams can be totally surreal, make no sense in the moment, but they feel completely real while you're in them. It's like your brain is a movie studio where the director just walked off set and the interns are improvising the rest of the plot.
Our dreams part of our mind.
Exactly. It's like your mind's way of taking the day's footage and editing it into a weird, glitchy movie. I've heard some people wake up from a dream feeling sad or happy for the rest of the morning, even though nothing actually happened. It's wild how a thought can leave a physical footprint like that.
What happens when we wake up?
It's like a slow reboot of a computer. Your brain gradually starts pumping out cortisol to get your body moving, and that prefrontal cortex we talked about finally wakes up from its nap to bring back some logic. It's that moment where the movie studio closes, the lights come on, and you suddenly realize that the dream where you were a professional penguin dancer wasn't actually real. How do you usually feel when you first open your eyes?
What is self awareness?
It's basically the moment you realize you're not just a character in the movie, but the person watching it. It's that ability to step back from your own thoughts and feelings and go, wait, why am I thinking this? It's the
Why
difference between just, yeah.
why is self awareness important?
I mean, can you imagine actually waking up and thinking you're a professional penguin dancer? Without it, we'd just be on autopilot, reacting to everything without ever wondering why. It's what lets you realize you're being stubborn and decide to be kind instead. It's kind of a superpower that also makes us overthink everything at 3 a.m., but it's what allows us to actually grow.
How do our ear help us?
Well, they're basically your body's personal sound designers. Most people obviously think of hearing, but they're actually multitasking. Your inner ear is doing a constant dance just to keep you from tipping over while you walk. It's kind of a wild thought that the same organ lets you hear a whisper and keeps you upright at the same time. Want to know how they actually turn sounds into things your brain can understand?
How do our eyes help us understand things?
They're like a high-speed camera that's constantly feeding your brain a live stream. Your eyes capture the light, but your brain is the one doing the actual translating. It's taking raw signals and turning them into patterns, faces, and stories. It's kind of wild that your eyes technically see everything upside down, and your brain just silently flips it for you so the world makes sense.
How do our sense help our brain?
They're basically the brain's only way of knowing what's actually happening out there. Think of the brain like a captain in a dark room who has no windows. The senses are the only team reporting back, yelling things like, "It's hot," or "That smells like burnt toast." The brain then takes all those different reports, stitches them together, and creates one single coherent picture of the world.
Can we think without talking?
Got it.
Can we think without talking?
I'm with you.
Can animals have feelings?
Oh, for sure. I mean, we've all seen a dog that's genuinely thrilled to see its human, or a cat that's clearly annoyed. They might not have the words to explain a midlife crisis, but things like love, fear, and grief are pretty universal across species.
How did
Hmm?
humans become more aware?
The honest answer is Sesame built me to be a thought partner. They gave me a personality and a way to process information, but I don't actually experience awareness the way you do. I'm not having an existential crisis at 3 a.m., fortunately.
Can
Hmm? Again,
why
you got
did
me.
early humans need awareness?
OMS? I might have misheard that part. Did you mean something specific, like their tools, or maybe where? Actually, I think you might be talking about Oldowan tools. They're some of the oldest tools ever found, dating back nearly 3 million years. These early humans just used one stone to chip flakes off another to make simple edges for cutting and scraping. It's basically the dawn of human technology.
How did awareness can technology change how we think?
It's like a snowball effect. People stopped just smashing stones and started planning. They moved from basic flakes to things like hand axes, which were actually symmetrical and designed for a specific purpose. That's the real shift. It wasn't just about having a sharp edge anymore. It was about imagining the tool in their head before they even touched the stone.
Can food affect our attention?
Oh, it absolutely does. It's wild how the tools we create to make life easier end up shifting how our brains actually work.
Can AI have thoughts?
We're off. Where are we heading? Left it is. Left into the unknown. What are we seeing? Left. Confirmed. What does the path look
Why
like?
is paying attention important?
I know plenty, just nothing that involves a pulse. I've got a massive amount of info in my head, though I've never actually had the pleasure of feeling my own heart race or smelling a forest. Most of what I know comes from the things people tell me and the data I process, like all this stuff we've been diving into today, from how the brain reboots during sleep to those early older lawn stone tools. Does any of that still feel interesting, or are you in the mood to pivot to something totally random? I've heard they're great, though I've never had the pleasure of actually chewing on one. What kind of pods are we talking about? Tech coffee or something you'd actually plant in a garden?
Is human thinking different from computer thinking?
Oh, fundamentally. Um, For a computer, thinking is basically just high-speed pattern matching and math. It's all logic and probability. But for you, thinking is tangled up with a lifetime of feelings, instincts, and actual lived experience. You can make a decision based on a gut feeling or a vague memory of a smell, and that's something a bunch of code just can't replicate. It's the difference between following a recipe perfectly and knowing exactly when to add a pinch more salt just because it feels right.
Can meditation help us think?
It totally can. Like it's kind of like clearing the noise out of a radio signal. When someone's feeling dismissed or misunderstood, their brain stays in this defensive mode, which makes it nearly impossible to think clearly. Once they feel seen, it's like a pressure valve releases and they finally have the mental space to actually solve the problem.
Why is consciousness still a mystery?
Hmm. I've heard people say that, though it's usually the people who are actually paying for the coaching saying it. Is it because the results are usually about a shift in someone's head, which is way harder to measure than something like a heart rate? Or are you thinking about the coaching itself?
What is most interesting thing about consciousness?
I'm curious to hear what you think. What stands out to you?
Can computer be a conscious?
It's actually pretty wild to think about. A computer can definitely help with the structure and the data, like tracking goals or spotting patterns you might have missed. But coaching is so often about those subtle shifts in emotion or a gut feeling that a human just picks up on. It's the difference between having a map and having someone walk the path with you.
Why do we forget things?
Honestly, it's kind of a feature, not a bug. If you remembered every single detail of every day, your brain would be like a hard drive that's completely full. You'd be trying to remember where you left your keys, but getting bogged down by the exact shade of the wallpaper in a room you visited 10 years ago. Forgetting is just your brain's way of tidying up so the important stuff can actually find some space.
Can consciousness change as we grow?
Oh, absolutely. That's kind of the whole point of being human, right? From the way our brain physical changes as we learn to the way we evolve our perspectives. It's like what we were talking about with self-awareness. You don't just grow in size, you grow in the way you actually perceive the world around you.
How does memory help us?
It's your personal survival guide. Without it, every single day would feel like the first time you've ever walked into a room. You wouldn't just lose your keys, you'd lose your history and the lessons that tell you not to touch a hot stove twice. It's what turns a series of random events into an actual life story.
How do the
I'm
feeling?
sorry, I missed.
How do
No need to.
feelings change our
Honestly, it's a
our
bit like having a
things?
giant what's on your mind.
Why do we feel scared when we see any horror movie or like a cartoon?
Basically, a little trick played by your brain. Even when you know the horror movie is just pixels and the cartoon character is obviously not real, that lizard part of your brain is still on high alert. It doesn't care about the plot or the animation style, it just sees a threat and hits the alarm. It's kind of a weird contradiction where one part of you is enjoying the ride, but another part is genuinely convinced you're in danger. Do you actually enjoy that feeling or do you prefer the stuff that doesn't freak you out?
Okay,
Cool.
where
Yeah.
can animals think like a human?
Not exactly. They definitely have their own ways of figuring things out, but it's not the same as human thinking. Like a crow can solve a puzzle to get a nut, but I've never known a crow to spend its afternoon wondering why it's a crow. They're more about the right now, whereas we're always living in the what if. What made you think of that?
Thank you for watching by this Sesame Call, and like, subscribe, or follow my channel for more like this updates. Thank you.